think we're good to go. Let's see. All right. Let me pull up a good or something else other than BitMEX volume, because BitMEX volume is fucking ridiculous. What I use? Bitfinex, Coinbase, Bitstamp, and that's good enough actually. Copy this just in case. Oh, okay, there we go. So this is where we're at right now. Clearly we just had a huge dump last night. If you followed me, well, let me mark out these levels first so you know what I'm talking about. Actually, I think this is better served as a zone rather than a line. Excuse my coughing. Yeah, for sure this looks good. So that's a zone of support, and this was definitely, let's see, that was resistance. And so originally, oh shit, no, hold up, that's resistance. All right, so originally I was short from like here-ish, and so I caught this down, and then this happened, and I held through this, and this second chance at like taking the low right here on this candle, let me show it zoomed in, this action didn't clear that low, and so I didn't really like that, and so that's when I had tweeted like, you know, oh, and especially this candle was really bad, so I was like, you might want to consider taking profits on shorts. So I did. I for sure closed my short that was opened up right here. But then I ended up, let's see, I did on this candle. I ended up catching this candle in my sleep. And so, like, again, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I said I closed my short too low, because I did. I closed this one. But then I caught like this right here. So by the time I woke up, this down move had already happened. I didn't wake up till like 11 this morning, and so this was the 1 hour candle for 11. I just slept in on this particular Saturday. I usually get up really early, but this had already happened, so I was kind of bummed. It's like, damn, I missed a short, but no, I logged on to BitMEX and realized I was short from here. So shout out to catching that wick, shout out to my sleep, and also shout out to Fibs, because that's definitely where I decided to put my short entry before I went to sleep. I think I put it somewhere. I think I saw like this resistance. I saw we already hit a 50%, and I'll say this every video, I love 50% retracements the most, and we rejected the 50 and we're coming up, and then I don't know, I think I put them somewhere. I put them somewhere in between this 38.2 and this 50 range to catch my shorts, and so that's how I caught this. But definitely I looked at Fibs and I looked at the confluence of resistance, because you see this is what I use for the 4 hour, and it actually makes a lot of sense. But if you zoom in on the 1 hour, and I'll duplicate it in purple just so you can see it, that this resistance line or this SR line makes a lot of sense, and so that's another big reason of why I decided to put some shorts here. But yeah, so I mean, it's great. I'm blessed. Let's talk about, I guess we could talk about targets. I highly doubt we retrace 50% of this move right here. I don't even know where you would draw that fib, to be honest. Even if you drew it of just this dump, 50% of this move would, I mean, it kind of makes sense because it will line up with the bottom of this level. And you see we got like a little stoppage right here, a little reaction. So it's not unreasonable to think oh, we retrace upwards to the 61.850% fib. Um, it's just really hard to believe the market will easily give back 61.8 to 50% of this particular move because it was such an aggressive move. If you look at the volume, let me show it. Yeah, it's such an aggressive move if you're looking at the volume. Oh, and the other reason, and this was something we said long ago. This was something we said when the bull run was happening. Excuse me. If you take the volume profile of this whole, all of this, it's like this was a low volume node. And so to shoot through this gap and then retrace up would be like unreasonable almost. But at the same time, you see it and it's like, okay, we started to accumulate some volume here. So this will be an interesting little pivot area. On the 4 hour, we have multiple. So next I'd be looking at like the 12-hour candle, and this closes in, it just started printing 30 minutes ago. So we'll probably be looking at this to make the next bearish block on the 12-hour. I'll show you my other chart. This chart actually has levels that I purely use this just for levels. And so you see we wicked down here. We touched, this is a blue order block actually from this right here. And if you wanted to, you could totally use this as well. Either one works really well. But you see we wicked here. We haven't quite reached this weekly SR level. That was taken from here. Here, excuse me. Where this was support, and then we flipped it to resistance for a little bit. And then we created this bullish weekly block. And we haven't quite touched that block yet. So I would not close my short position until I see the reaction to this block, because we're either going to cut straight through it, and the weekly candle closes tomorrow, by the way, or I guess in the next 24 hours. I don't quite know how weeklies work, but I assume when the Sunday daily closes is when it closes. But yeah, we're either gonna have like a reaction to this level where maybe we trade through it and wick above it, which would be super bullish, or we just cut straight through it, in which case we'd probably looking to try and add to more of our short here. So really just depends. But I wouldn't close my short here, right? As you can see in the levels I have marked out, as far as the weekly is concerned, this is no man's land. And you want to do your trades at levels of market structure, not just in the middle of nowhere. But you could for sure make an argument on the daily that this is a level of support, which it is, but it's not quite a weekly level yet. So I wouldn't necessarily be willing to close. So yeah, as far as this is concerned, not ideally, but the assumption is if we cut through this resistance, which we did, there was no green daily candle, that we retrace up and flip it to resistance and go back down. But again, I have a very hard time thinking that we retrace back up to about 7.3, 7.4. Yeah, this area right here, because that would require us shooting this gap back up, that would be extremely volatile. And if you use the Heikin-Ashi candles, it just looks like we're going down. I don't think we'll give that type of retracement. Not saying we won't. I'm just looking at the chart. I like how I've kept the markings minimal so far. Tried to put a pitchfork on price, couldn't really do so successfully. And y'all know I love pitchforks. I think they're really good. So this was for sure the high of this move, and then here was the low that resulted, and then the next high. And when you do that, This is really as good as you'll get, and this pitchfork is sound and solid. The issue I have with it is I need like the 61.8 wing for it to work. Maybe does the 1.5 work? 1.5, 1.27, yeah. So 1.5. Wait, that's the next fib, right? After, oh, the 1.41. Let me look at that. Oh, sorry, that's my phone. 1.41. Yeah. So I mean, you could totally draw this with the 1.41. I personally just don't like it, but this is a very valid pitchfork, and to be honest, the one I probably should use. In which case we might retrace up here. I'm actually curious to see where the intersection of a fib in that line is. Yeah, like a very shallow retracement right here to 23.6 fib. And right where this the median line is, which you can see we've gotten very nice reactions to the median line whenever we've approached it. I can see a retrace up here. And so if you're not short, you're looking to get short, here makes the most sense with the stop maybe above this wick. So it will look like that. That would actually keep you with a very tight stop. And you can for sure, like, put it above a 50. You actually have a lot of room to work with if you're trying to get short here, just because the places the market has to go to invalidate your trade would be very extreme. So I do that. Let's just put a 2% stop just as a standard, and then you take this weekly level right here, weekly pink, and then you put that as a target. And that's actually a pretty decent R&R with levels that make sense, right? Again, I don't know if I'd personally put my stop that tight, maybe above the 38.2, and maybe I'd have like a 1.5% stop. But yeah, so I mean, this is a decent short setup. Aim for weekly level. Aim for this weekly level right here. I think I moved the line on accident. And then put a stop. Really. See if you can zoom in and find something. Above this right here. This green candle. And actually use this whole wick right here. So I'd personally do something like this. That's an extreme stop. But I mean, fuck it. I'd probably just do it on high leverage. But yeah, so this is what I'm looking at right now. I don't know if I explicitly said this, but again, as far as targets, I'm looking for a reaction to here. And so I'll renew or redo my analysis once we get there. As of right now, again, I wouldn't close a short, but I wouldn't be trying to go long here. I'd be trying to go long the retest of resistance as support somewhere here. But then at the same time, we'll be trying to go long because, I mean, we're in a fucking bear market. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, low, lower low, lower low, lower low. And I'd anticipate breaking this low. So what makes sense is to break support here below 5.8 and then retest 5.8 or run up to 6.8 as resistance, and then keep going down until we hit this monthly level. So that's what makes sense. But if you really like, when I say long, when I give out like long suggestions or scenarios, that's purely only if you're of the bias of wanting to go long. Like, I don't think you should have that bias at all. But I'm saying if you are, then like you will want to go long at certain levels. But yeah. But other than that, I mean, there's really not much. It just depends on what you want to look at, for sure. Something I guess that's really worth pointing out is 1226 EMAs, which we talk about on the channel all the time. They're great. So here you see, let's just start with after 20K was over. A lot of discrimination here during the distribution phase. But once we dump below them, the daily 12 and 26 EMAs provided damn near perfect short entries, because you could have shorted, really, you shouldn't even short it until the bear cross happened. So I wouldn't even call this discrimination. But after the bear cross happens, then you literally could have shorted here, that retest, this retest, this retest, and then you would have shorted this retest and got stopped out. Again, some discrimination with this double top right here, but we actually never really crossed bullish until really right here. But mind you, this was a wedge leading into a, actually, yeah, bull cross. You could have been long from here, 10K. And then once you saw either this hanging man or this shooting star candle, you could have closed at above 11.5. Dumped again, retest, short, retest, short. Did we touch it here? Almost, you know, whatever. Short here if you want. And then you get stopped out, go up, pull. We actually didn't cross bullish yet, so maybe you didn't want to go long. But then here, retest, easy long rides, dump, bear cross, short, short, short. And then it actually never served as support on this recent bull run. It just pumped ridiculously and then dumped. So now if you're looking to short, you would try and short a retest, ideally after a bear cross. I just don't know when a bear cross might come. Guppy gives you very similar sentiments. We dumped below the investor EMAs or the slow EMAs. The fast EMAs are coming down ridiculously. So I mean, yeah, things are just bad. Like, don't look for longs. Look for opportunities to go with the trend, which is clearly down. Trying to think what else is important. The cloud, maybe? Do y'all like it? With the cloud? Weekly cloud. All bad, really. Man, where does this? In December, we got the Bears cloud coming. Doesn't look good. 3 day. All bad. 1 day. We're actually at the bottom of the cloud. And okay, so here's one thing. Some people said this could be a good time to go long, using the Ichimoku cloud as like support for that reason. And I do want to point out that like that's not 100% wrong. Like both the bottom and the top of the cloud serve as support / resistance depending on what side you're on. In the middle is no man's land. So for people who say, oh, we're at the bottom of the cloud, long opportunity, they're not wrong, because here the bottom of the cloud served as resistance. And even here when we were dumping out the cloud, the bottom served as support. And so it's just like, you for sure could if you wanted to. I just wouldn't recommend it. Maybe I recommend going short at 7.1, which I mean goes against the short opportunity I just showed you, but if you're using the cloud at this daily Kijun right here that's flat, I'd be trying to go short there. 12 hour, we're kind of at cloud quote unquote support if you want. Yeah, maybe you could short 7 point. Let me turn this on indicator. Maybe go short at 7.2, 7.3. Again, these are not things I'm recommending. I don't think we'll retrace that far up. That will literally be taking back like 80% of this move, which makes no sense to me. And actually, if we look at the one, I think we're dumping now a little. Oh no, we're not that much. 4-hour cloud dumped straight out of it. So this is another good example how the bottom of the cloud served as support. So when people are looking at the daily cloud and trying to use that support, they're not wrong. We could totally just bounce here, as we did here. But again, I don't think that makes sense. To try and go long. And then here's all bad, and I guess, yeah, this is all bad. Ooh, excuse me. With resistance being 7.3. That's pretty much it. So don't want to go on this too long. Things look bad. Looks kind of like a flag. Oh, actually, hold up. One more thing I do want to show. Inverted. When you do this shit, when you put an asset inverted, oh man, it'll really show you kind of like what you want to do. So if you saw this, what if you saw this type of price action, would you be trying to short it? Goodness gracious. So you see this. Actually, let me put a channel. I like channels for this. So you see this general trend where we're continuously, making higher lows, and higher highs here. Would you try and short this? Like, I don't understand. You'd probably be trying to short this level, which makes sense. That's the level that's the same weekly level, but on the other side of the chart, like with it reversed. Right? You'd probably be trying to short this. So it's just like, why would you try and long this same thing right now? Right? It doesn't make sense. So I mean, that's just kind of something I wanted to show you. Like, if you ever really want to like check your bias, just flip the chart upside down, man. Y'all be tripping. But yeah, so that's really it. So I'll see y'all later.